Hello guys, so as you remember in the previous video we already discussed the topic of voxel destruction. Basically what we've done is we created a script which takes voxel file and voxel data and creates the mesh out of it. We discussed what the voxel data is, what it stores and how it works in general, but in today's video we will basically get to the part where we destroy the mesh. In the way that we take voxel data, we change the voxel data and rebuild the mesh, therefore representing the destruction itself. So now we will review a destructor script. So why does it exist? It exists to perform voxel damage in general. Conceptually, it works in the way that it receives a voxel world space position and the radius, converts that position into voxel space, iterates through voxels inside that radius, marks through voxels as inactive, tells voxel object to build the mesh, and plays a destructor sound. The last one is optional. So basically, destructor script changes the voxel data. That's what I was talking about in the previous video, that the voxel data itself is very important because, first of all, from this data, this is the raw material for mesh generation and as well for destruction, because we will change the voxel data in order to change the mesh and therefore represent the destruction. So now moving on to click destroy. Basically an easy script and not conceptually heavy. We just take the player input and connect it to destruction logic. So every frame the raycast from camera appears in the scene. If this raycast hits the voxel object, we call the destructor at that point. Then basically the destructor is being called and then it changed the voxel data. So click to destroy doesn't do anything to voxels, it just finds a target and triggers destruction. So right now system will work, however, after destruction one object might become several separate pieces. Therefore isolation answers the question which voxels still belong together. So how it conceptually works. Isolation scans the voxel grid, find groups of connected voxels, they also called clusters, identify the largest cluster. This cluster will stay in the main object. Other large clusters are separated, small clusters are ignored or destroyed. Why do we need this system? Because sometimes when the object, the voxel object itself is destroyed, some parts may be separated from the main base, let's say, and therefore they will just hang in the air or will be separated, however still they will be one single game object, and that's very bad, that's very unsuitable for voxel destruction in general for the system. So we will right now first identify these clusters, and in the next script we will basically create a new game object from them. So moving on to the next very critical script is fragment spawner, creating a physical fragment. So why does it exist? Once we have a separated voxel cluster, we need to turn it into a real game object, give it physics and allow it to be destroyed once again. That's what fragment spawner does. How it conceptually works. So it takes voxel data from one cluster, creates a new game object, adds voxel object, mesh collider and rigid body. As well, it positions it exactly where the cluster was, and optionally adds the destructor so fragments can break furthermore. So basically it creates separate voxel objects from clusters of the main voxel object, and that's very useful. That's actually the main point of voxel destruction system. So with that being said, now you can spectate the result, which was made by using these 10 scripts. Of course, they can be modified so they will give you a better output. However, still, for the base, I think the collection of the scripts is pretty good and useful. So if you want to download the scripts, you can go to the comments down below in the video. There I will leave the link for my GitHub, and you can freely download them and use for your game. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.